Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into a huge shift happening in the world of news. And no, it's not about robots taking over the newsroom. It's actually about how artificial intelligence can make journalism stronger than ever. So let's explore how we can build a better future for news together. All right, so here's what we've got on tap. First, we'll look at the problem, the overwhelmed newsroom. Then we'll talk about AI as a partner, not a replacement. We'll see it in action, cover the all-important ethical rules, and finally look ahead to what a human-centered future looks like. Okay, so let's kick things off with the why of it all. To really get why AI is even in the picture, you have to understand what it's like inside a modern newsroom. And let me tell you, it is a whirlwind of pressure, speed, and just sheer complexity. And this really is the million-dollar question for the entire industry, isn't it? You've got news organizations wrestling with a 24/7 news cycle, shrinking budgets, you name it. Figuring out a way forward that actually works, that's priority number one. Yeah, the modern newsroom is basically caught in a perfect storm. You have journalists trying to drink from a fire hose of information, but at the same time, they've got fewer resources than ever. And all of this is going down while trust is shaky and, misinformation just spreads like wildfire. It's a tough spot to be in. All right, so into this chaotic scene steps artificial intelligence. But as you can probably guess, its arrival comes with a lot of fear and, frankly, a lot of misunderstanding. It gets framed as this big, scary threat instead of what it could be, which is an incredibly powerful tool. So it's super important we're on the same page about what AI even means here. We are not talking about some kind of robot journalist typing up stories. Nope. Think of it more like systems, things like machine learning or data analytics, that are designed to support human journalists by doing the heavy lifting, like crunching massive amounts of data or handling boring, repetitive tasks. And this, of course, leads us to the big one, the elephant in the room. The question that pops up anytime AI is mentioned, no matter the industry. Is this whole thing just about replacing people? Well, the answer we're getting is a pretty clear no. The reality is AI is at its best when it's working with a person, when it's paired up with human expertise and judgment. So the goal isn't just automation for automation's sake. It's collaboration. It's about creating a partnership that actually makes journalism better and stronger. Okay, so if it's all about collaboration, what does that actually look like day to day? Let's dive into this new way of thinking and see how this human plus AI partnership really works. This is where it gets really interesting. Think of it like a team. On one side, you have what humans do best, things that are, frankly, irreplaceable, like making tough ethical calls, truly understanding the context of a story, and, holding powerful people accountable. Then you have what AI is amazing at, pure scale. It can sift through mountains of data, spot patterns we'd miss, and do all the repetitive stuff with incredible speed. They're not competing, they're completing each other's skill sets. All right, so that's the theory. But what does this look like in the real world, in the day-to-day grind of a journalist? Let's take a peek inside this new toolkit and see AI in action. First up, just gathering the news. Imagine AI as a super-powered lookout on a ship's mast. It can scan thousands of social media feeds, public databases, and news wires all at once. So it can spot a spike in conversation about a local fire, or maybe flag a new scientific study that's suddenly getting a ton of attention online. It helps journalists see the smoke before there's a huge fire. Next, think of it as a tireless research assistant. Who wants to read a 1,000-page government report? Instead of spending a week on that, a journalist can just ask the AI, hey, pull out the 10 biggest budget changes from last year. And bam, they get it in seconds. This frees them up to do the real journalism. Picking up the phone, calling sources, and finding out what those numbers actually mean for people in their community. And it can even help with the writing process. Take a company's quarterly financial report. The Associated Press, for example, uses AI to create a quick first draft that just lays out the basic facts: revenue, profit, the key numbers. This isn't the final story, of course. It's a starting point that frees up the human journalist to do the important stuff, get a quote from an expert, add analysis, and explain what it all means for, say, employees or investors. Now, this is where it gets really powerful, maybe even a game changer. For massive investigations like the Panama Papers, AI was absolutely crucial. We're talking about millions of documents. It helped reporters connect the dots between names, shell companies, and bank accounts to uncover these huge, hidden financial networks, a task that, honestly, would have been nearly impossible for humans to do on their own. Okay, so with all this power comes, you guessed it, a ton of responsibility.
You can't just unleash these tools without some serious thought. So, setting up some clear, non-negotiable rules is absolutely critical if you want to maintain trust with your audience.
So, how do we use this stuff responsibly? It pretty much boils down to three key things. One, be transparent. Just tell people when and how AI was used. No secrets. Two, audit for bias. You have to constantly check these systems to make sure they're not inheriting or creating biases. And three, and this is the big one, a human is always in the driver's seat. The final call, the publish button, that always rests with a human editor or journalist. And when you follow those rules, you start building a future that really is human-centered, one that puts both the journalist and the audience first. And here's the cool part. This isn't just for the giant media corporations. Because so many of these tools are now more affordable and cloud-based, even small local newsrooms can get in on the action. It's really kind of democratizing access to some incredibly powerful technology. There's a quote that I think just nails this whole idea perfectly. It says, "The future newsroom is not AI-driven, it's human-centered and AI-supported. It's all about making sure the technology serves the journalism, not the other way around." So in this future vision, AI kind of becomes this invisible engine, humming along in the background. It handles the scale, the speed, the structure, which frees up journalists to focus on what humans do best: finding the meaning, providing the context, and holding people accountable. And of course, ethics guides the whole thing. And that really leaves us with one final and I think very powerful question to think about. It pulls the whole conversation away from just cool tech and brings it back to what really matters. At the end of the day, journalism is a public service. So the real question we have to ask is, how can AI help us serve the public better?